Oh, hi, Christina. How are you?
Irene, I'm doing great.
I am currently not ignoring you. I am just looking at my beautiful Kindle. Um,
Ooh,
because Christina, what did we read this past month?
the overnight guest
The Overnight Guest, which
by
uh
Heather
hold
Gudenkauf.
on.
I think is how you say it.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the pronunciation of her last name. Gudenkopf sounds like a good one.
I think that's what it is. I think that's how I heard it pronounced in the audiobook as well.
See, you listen to the audiobooks, I do not.
I do.
Um, Christina, you
Yes,
took us on a journey with this one.
I
You took us
did.
on a wild ride. So before we really dive into everything,
Yes,
um, tell me just like initially, did you like it? Did you not?
I did. I think it was difficult to follow in the beginning because I didn't know what was going on,
A hundred
but I
percent.
wanted to keep reading. Sorry, you're sliding. I wanted to keep reading and I wanted to find more.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely agree. So if you guys haven't read the book, it's a bit of a weird format, but I kind of like it
yeah.
because you have this like italicized chapter. Well, it starts out with a flashback, so it's like August 2000. And then it jumps forward to present time. And then it jumps to this chapter that's like italicized, that's from the point of view you very quickly learn, like either someone who doesn't speak out a lot, and usually that's a child. And it kind of keeps going in this format until you reach the end of the book and everything kind of comes together.
Yes.
It's different. I liked it though because of the fact that this is, I would say, like a mystery thriller type of
Yeah.
novel, right?
It's
So the
not such
fact,
a hardcore thriller, but it is a little
no,
bit.
it was a little anxiety
It
inducing.
was a little anxiety inducing, yes.
Like I once I got started, I like had a really hard time putting it down. Like it
Yeah,
was
no, it was
real
really
hard for me.
the first night I listened, the first night I listened to it, I was up till like 4 in the morning listening, and I was like, okay, just one more chapter.
Sorry, I muted myself. But that's how I was too. I could not stop reading. Well, I didn't listen to it, but I was reading it and like I would be like halfway falling asleep and I was like, okay, I cannot keep reading this. One, because it kind of terrorized me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
A little bit.
So, Christina, do you want to give us a synopsis of this book or do you want me to dive into it?
You know what? I did the last book. Why don't you do this one if you don't mind?
Yeah, so overall the book is a family gets murdered except the daughter. So there's a son, two parents, and there is another missing girl who is the daughter's best friend. And so you figure out real quick, kind of what the dynamics are. So the son hates the parents, typical teen. Allegedly, he said he wants them dead. Um,
Okay, well, what
according
teenager hasn't said that?
I mean, what teenager hasn't said "I hate you" to their parents and slammed the
True.
door in their face? So I think it's just scarier when you're carrying a shotgun in the middle of nowhere. So
Probably. That's
is
fair.
it Iowa this takes place in? I want to say Idaho, but I always get I'm pretty sure it's
Getting them
Iowa.
confused because I also finished Educated, which took place in Idaho. So
Oh no.
I know.
Oh no. Keep out
Nerd.
keep out for our quick synopsis review on
Yes.
Educated as well. But
Oh,
so essentially we follow this girl's
it's in
journey
a
through,
rural
yeah,
forgot. Yeah.
through one of the worst experience of her life, I would imagine, unless she knows somebody else that got killed, because then that's also horrible. But um, kind of the worst experience of her life, and then you also quickly figure out the modern day version of herself. That's not really revealed, but I kind of felt like it was her. I was like, who else would it be? Like,
Knew that she was connected to it in some way.
yeah,
But the big twist in the story is that the little girl whose family got killed is the person who's telling the story.
yes. And she is a murder mystery author. And I feel it was,
That's shocking that she went
yeah.
that direction.
I mean, to be fair, after how brutally her family was murdered, I am kind of shocked, but I guess, to each their own.
I guess maybe it's a little bit cathartic for her to be right Okay,
Right.
so for somebody who had something awful happen to them that was not solved, to be able to
Right.
like write about terrible things that happen and solve them on paper, I think it makes
Yeah.
sense to me that it's like a little bit cathartic.
Yeah. So basically when you find out like the parents are murdered, so it all happens one night. They're supposed to go to the county fair. The friend is sleeping over. The friend and the brother are missing in the morning. So the girls run out of the house, right? We get this in the flashback. They run out of the house because they wanted to jump on the trampoline, and then they heard noises. They thought it were fireworks. It's the summer. If you don't know the rural Midwest, we love to set off fireworks for some reason. I don't know why there's always fireworks to be set off. I don't know who gets the money for that, but they're not cheap. So,
Even urban Midwest, like in the
yeah.
city.
So these two girls, they're outside in the middle of the night, and then all of a sudden they hear these shots, and then they're running. And they're running because they see this man coming towards them. And our main character, Josie, she is the one who runs into the forest, or not the forest, I'm sorry, the
Cornfield.
cornfields. The cornfields. And unfortunately, she couldn't bring her friend with her. And unfortunately, her friend goes missing. At first, because of the fact that the brother had said, "Hey, I want my parents dead," or "I want to kill them," blah, blah, whatever he exact quote said. He was the prime suspect, and he was believed to have kidnapped the best friend because of the fact that she was
That's
obsessed with him. So Becky and Josie are the best friends. Becky goes missing, and they think that it's Ethan, the older brother of Josie, because of the fact that he said he didn't like his parents. He wanted them dead, allegedly. And that we find out that the best friend of Ethan, the brother, was the one who said that he wanted his parents dead. And so before we can even question Ethan, he does turn up dead as well. He turns up dead a few days later, which is honestly okay. So that everybody in the town thinks that he killed them, and then that they ran away. Like the teenage child, ran away with the older brother, which is just wild to me. I almost bought it for a second, but I was like, I don't know, man. He didn't seem like that. Like I can see him potentially killing his parents, but I don't think I see him being like a kidnapper and
no.
taking this little girl away. Especially he did not like his sister. You could tell. Like he threw a steel toe boot at this boo. He threw a steel toe. Okay, a steel toe boot, Christina.
I threw some wild shit at Alex when growing up.
That was too young. That was
Yeah,
too
we're
young.
younger than us. I just feel like a sibling dynamic, it's hard to judge that.
Yes, but I'm just saying, as much as he was annoyed with his sister, I don't think he wanted her dead. Like, but
No, I don't think so either. I think he maybe like wanted her to like leave him alone.
yeah, but I
I don't
couldn't.
think
Yeah,
that's his objective. I
right.
agree.
So I mean like he wouldn't kidnap his sister's best friend. But then,
Right.
regardless, it
There
doesn't
was a
even
whole
matter.
underlying plot about them kind of having like a little flirty thing, but they were so young.
Yeah, he probably liked the attention more than anything. He's a
Right.
teenage boy.
They actually didn't even really seem to like the attention that much from her point of view of the story. The
Yeah,
friend wanted to.
yeah. So, spoilers in case we couldn't make it any more clear. I really thought for a while it was the friend that took her.
I did too. I
I
swear.
was, I mean, we weren't too far off though. It was
No,
that uncle. Always watch out for the creepy uncle.
no, it was his dad, I thought.
I thought it was his uncle.
Either way, it was
Regardless,
a family member. I still find that odd. Do you understand? So
like
this was one of my
why?
points of contention. Yeah, I
Yeah.
still don't understand why.
Okay, and I need you to just hear me out on that. First of all, he said he was planning to take Josie, right? But he took Becky instead.
But what
But
over land? Like that seems
I think
crazy.
so. I think he was crazy.
No, for
Clearly,
sure.
he's not in his right mind. Okay, can I just say though, real quick? So
Yeah.
at the end of the book, they end up killing Rand. His name is Randy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they end up killing the man who killed the whole family and took Becky. So I understand our justice system is very flawed. However, because this is a work of fiction, you could
Yeah.
have written it so that he could actually get his due. So
But
he
he
could
was coming after
actually,
them physically. He was like attacking them physically.
All right, shoot him in the knees and call the cops.
I
I
know.
know it was a winter storm, blah blah blah, blah 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 blah, but I
Wait,
mean, you could have made it different. I personally also would have done it in the summer. Just
really?
saying,
Why?
some poetic justice. I feel like there's something about the idea of lightning cracking behind you that just sounds so beautiful.
Oh, like do like a giant flooding thunderstorm
Yeah, instead of
instead
I
of
don't
like
know. I just like with as cold as it has been here, I
Mhm.
forget how painful the cold is like on like exposed skin, like
Well,
every year.
I think that was part of it is that, you know, they so the second part of the story, what's happening in the present day, is that Wiley finds this she goes out in the snowstorm, right? So that's Josie. She changed her name. She goes out in the snowstorm and she finds this child and brings
Yep.
the child in because she thought the child was dead at first. And then she goes back out, sees a car wreck, finds a woman, tries to help her, woman disappears, and then ends up back back at the house somehow.
Which is kind of
So I
wild.
think when it's snowing, when it's blizzarding that way, everything is so high stakes. It
Yeah.
seems to me. So like I get it. Yes, summer would have completed the cycle for sure. Feel like with blizzards, especially growing up in an area where it snows, for those of us who aren't in an area that it snows, blizzards are so, so, so high stake, right? Like you go to the grocery store the day before a blizzard is going to hit, and they're like shelves are empty, like people lose their minds, like we've never seen snow before in our lives.
Okay, but
People.
it does get, especially because so many people cannot drive. Like so many people
Oh,
don't have
it's
the car that, and they get so slippery and it is so bad. It really is. I know
it's
it's so bad.
it is. It's high stakes, and I understand why they did it. Also, it's like ominous and kind of creepy. Personally, I love a snowstorm,
I
but
mean,
it's me.
nothing more peaceful in my opinion.
Right, nothing better than curling up with a book when it's
Mm.
snowing outside and
Oh
you
my
have
God,
no.
wait, can I say when I was
Yeah,
reading this, it was snowing outside and it was freezing and I was just like in my bed and I was like, oh my God, I'm so cozy and warm right now. So toasty.
like to say I put it on the list because I feel like January, after the holidays are over, after New Year's is, like, January comes and it's this like kind of dark, dreary month it tends to be. For a lot of people, it's when the seasonal depression hits really hard.
Right.
And so it just felt like a little bit of a thriller would be an interesting pick for January.
I agree. I also have been, okay, so I have said this. So since I've been in a more serious relationship at a later point in my life, like when I was younger, I was like, not that I don't love romance novels still, but I don't find myself yearning for them the way I did when I was younger and like more so dating. And now I'm just like, okay, murder mystery. What's next? Like, so I'm just
Yeah, well,
saying,
February will be a little bit more on the
well,
page,
yeah,
but no, I get it. And I didn't think January felt like a romance month. I didn't want to overdo like the new beginnings, but in a way, it was a new beginning.
yeah. I mean,
Kind of hit all the marks for January. We got a little creepy, a little ominous, a little thriller, and a fresh start. A fresh start for Becky and her daughter.
yeah, I will say there were
Yeah,
some points where I was like, this is a little cliche and a little like on the nose.
a
That
little
doesn't
bit.
that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Like I feel like when people hear that, I'm just like, no, this is just they're cliches for a reason because one, they do work in the especially like within a genre like this. There are only so many ways you can kill someone. There are only so many ways like I mean, unless you really want to get okay, there is a book we can read. I don't know if you want to read it. I'm not going to spoil too much because it's still disturbing to me called Pretty Girls. And like the way those women were murdered in that book is so disturbing that I appreciate when someone just keeps it simple because
Right.
it really just
Shot
like
to the head.
what? Yeah, I know.
Shot to the head.
Oh, you don't need much. Like you don't need
Yeah.
like I mean, even then, like they were saying how horrible like I think the crime scene was worse than it might have actually been because of the fact that they cranked up the heat. Like
Yes.
it was a sweltering summer. They cranked up the heat. They were doing everything they can to essentially get rid of evidence and make it harder for them to find anything.
Yeah.
And
No,
can I say I knew she was okay, right? Like I knew Josie was okay, but when she was in that corn maze, and he was
Oh,
like right
here.
next to her. Like I almost peed my pants.
No, it was really, really scary.
Like it was horrible. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then when her grandparents came,
They were the sweetest. Weren't her
I
grandparents the best?
I was like, oh my God. And they have to like be there for her. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I feel like I've done a lot of talking. I'm
That's
gonna
like,
let you say some opinions because I
no, I think her grandparents were just like the most like the gentlest, like sweetest people.
so sweet.
Um,
Like exactly what she needed after this.
I completely agree. And they like moved her away from the town, so that's how she kind of was able to create this like new identity. Um, so the ending of the book is that that woman ends up being Becky. So she had been kidnapped
Randy Cutter.
by Randy Cutter, and he um kept her locked like in a basement, and they had a daughter, and she escaped with her daughter.
Can I just say, clearly, I mean, so I kind
Daughter's
of
name
had a
is, can
what?
I just wait, hold on,
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
tell you the sweetest part for me. The
Okay.
daughter's name is Josie.
I know.
That was again, so you're right. So like that's a little bit cliche, but like it was just so sweet.
like like the fact that she still like the fact that she was like it wasn't your fault, and it's true, like it wasn't her fault. Like it how what should she have done? She was a child, even an adult. Like it's not your
Right.
fault. Like unfortunately bad people will do whatever they can to do bad things.
100%.
But I will say I think the most disturbing part was when we were reading baby, I call her baby Josie,
Yeah.
um and when we were reading that point of view and you were like figuring out like, oh, this woman is pregnant again, oh, she lost a child, and then you realized that she would like he was actually inducing abortions for her because he didn't want her to have more. I mean, you couldn't have more children than one in the basement, even one is pushing it, but
Right.
the fact that he would induce abortions and she was like, well, same way I got pregnant with the others, like you couldn't like, but I also feel like he did it just to subdue or like to pull her down more clearly.
Destroy her.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it
He was
just
just a giant piece of shit.
a
Like, what
fucking
a psychopath.
monster.
What a psychopath, honestly.
And like you can, God, it's just like always so interesting when they have like when people who are in those situations have these like the chance to escape, and they always hesitate because they're always like they're waiting for that like gotcha moment, and they're waiting for that moment where they pop out the other side and then they're like get back in the basement. And
Where
I mean,
they're genuinely so terrified.
exactly. Like it's just, can I also say it's wild that he still had the brother's car. So that
Okay.
was wild. I was like,
You
oh
guys,
my God.
this story had way more twists and turns than I think we realized until we started trying to do a synopsis of it.
Yeah,
Um, so
it
if
was,
you're wondering what the heck we're talking about because you haven't read it, go read it. It's amazing. But
it
yes,
really
it's
is.
insane that he had the brother's car still, like 20 years later. 20 years?
20 some, yeah, it's wild. Also, I'm surprised it was still running. Like he must have been driving it.
No, I think that was like his little trophy or whatever his,
His little
the
trophy.
murderers take, or that was his little way of
Hmm.
showing off that he got away with it, is like still having the car because he repainted it.
Yeah.
He
Can I just
painted
say,
it. Yeah.
sorry,
Okay.
when like Josie found her brother too, like that,
Oh my God, that was the part that really got me.
I,
I think I've watched way too many police procedurals with mom to like be disturbed by people just getting shot because I'm like in my mind I see it the way it happens on TV. And as
right.
a nurse, I'm kind of like, okay, the real life isn't like that. So that didn't really disturb me as much as her finding her brother. Like that was really hard and
That
kind
was,
of
I don't know. We also like we're siblings and we also have two other siblings, and like I just like I had to walk away from it. I was like, that is a terrifying thought. And just like so casually too.
well, it was bad. It was just so bad, bad all
Oh,
around.
that poor girl. The fact that she was like living to tell the tale is wild.
Yeah. I do love how it brought her back close to her son in the
Yeah,
end. I love that. I love that her and Becky are close.
I know.
I think it's interesting and not surprising that Becky didn't want to leave town. Like, I think in one of two ways. People can either say, I never want to see this place ever again in my life. Fuck
Hmm.
this. Or, I'm not gonna let that what happened to me in this place when I'm taking it back.
Yeah.
So, I just thought that was really a really interesting because I think in many ways a lot of authors would have written the character to leave the town. So I think that was very interesting and empowering that she ended up staying and sort
Yeah.
of reclaiming her place in that town and her life there.
I also think it was really sweet, like at the end too. And I totally agree with that. I kind of expected her to leave because truthfully, I don't
I-
know. I mean, but I guess like also just the thing about that is like because she was locked in a basement rather than like the surrounding area and being able to see everything, I think that also plays a fact into it because she's like, no, but I haven't seen everything. Like I
Right.
only saw these four walls.
She didn't associate certain places with her trauma.
Exactly. Like
No, I
maybe
think
she won't go back to that farm because I get it. Like
I
that'd be traumatic.
maybe to burn it to the ground.
Right. Start over. But I think it's sweet that like she made sure to get Becky's permission though before like publishing the story.
Yeah.
And I don't
And
know, like that's real consideration.
well, and she said, I don't need to read it. I trust you, which I think is such a true, you know, um, just like a representation of how pure their friendship was.
Yeah. It just makes me so sad. They had so much lost
But
time
it's so
together.
bittersweet. Honestly, it
Yeah.
was I liked it so much when I read it, and now that I'm talking about it, I realize how much I really truly liked it, despite
Yeah.
well, the, inconsistencies and like I still can't believe that somebody would do that kind of insane shit over some land. But I think that when you have that type of personality, any sort of
Hmm.
block or like anybody telling you no really leads to quite a rage.
Can I just say that, like, yeah. And I'm just like, why don't you just burn the property? Like, that's less destructive than like destroying a whole like generation.
Well, because if
Like,
they're dead, then he can take it over. That's
it's
it.
just
And he
so
did. And
wild.
he was like walking around in the barn after it happened.
Oh God. And the fact that he was like, man, this is horrible. Like, let me help.
Right. Awful.
What? You psycho. Oh my gosh. Okay,
You
can I say
didn't
though the
tell us. No, go ahead.
what?
I was
No,
gonna say, did you like it? You never told us if you liked
oh,
it.
I thought I did. I thought amazing. I really liked it. I actually really, really, really enjoyed this book. Um, I kind of wish I could go back and reread it for the first time just to regain all of what I
Yeah.
felt. But can I just say one person we're forgetting is the person that was actually blamed for the murders.
Oh my
The
God,
art
yes.
the army vet, like when he was just like, I didn't do it, and he was like, I know they're gonna blame me. And I was just like, I knew that's when I was like, no, I know he didn't do it.
Right.
Like
They,
it made me
the
sad.
girls had been on his property looking for the dog.
Yeah. And
Um,
then
yeah.
because Randy ran by with like he placed the bloody like blanket or cloth or whatever he had of Becky's and the
Uh-huh.
dogs found it and like I was just like, okay, but I don't know if there's not more evidence like
And he wasn't charged with the crime. I mean, he wasn't yeah, he wasn't found guilty because that's circumstantial at best.
right.
So but he lived with being
I
thought
know.
of like a
Yeah.
murderer and a kidnapper. And Josie herself, when he came to the farm to like help in at the snow, like during the blizzard, she was convinced that it was him.
And she almost killed
And she
him.
locked him in the tool shed. You know what I missed though? Because I think I
What?
had just either read too much or listened to too much of the book at that point, and I wasn't really retaining. What ended up happening? Did they let him out of the tool shed? Like, where the hell did he go?
Yeah. They let him
It was
out
addressed very
a-
clearly.
and it wasn't and I think it was just like he was let out and like I'm 90% sure. that he
Because
was let out and he went to go get help or something.
when she realized it was Randy Cutter, like I would have run to the tool shed and been like, "Listen, dude, my bad.
Yeah.
Here's the sitch. Like this
Yeah.
is what's happening. Like ask this man to help you."
It's Can I just say though, even
Okay.
more wild to me is when Randy is going by in the blizzard and Wiley or Josie offhandedly mentions that she found a kid and there's a lady bleeding on the side of the road. Like as soon as he did that, I was like, it's him. Like that's how I knew it was
Dude, I
him.
did not know. I thought
Really.
it was gonna be the friend, the
I thought it was
brother's
gonna be
friend.
the
The
friend,
other
but yeah, I know, but I felt like he was too skittish. Like he clearly, like there was just something off about it. I kind of thought it was gonna be his brother or cousin or whatever that was mentioned that the police officer knew that he was like, okay, I'll let you like slide because I know your cousin.
Or the other thing that I thought, I just, it didn't make sense to me in that moment. I'm like, okay, the land, like, I didn't think that that was a good enough reason. So I didn't
Yeah.
consider it. But then I kind of was like, oh, what if the whole family's in on it?
Yeah, because I was just like, there's no way, in my opinion, with the way things went down and with the timing of the sun cutter. It's what I'm gonna call him because I can't remember his freaking. I think they call him Cutter throughout the book, and they mention his first name like once. It's like Brandon or Braden.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, Brian, something like that.
Brady,
Um,
I don't know. I've been watching
Whatever.
Virgin River.
I'm just like watching I'm reading and watching too many things for me to remember everybody's name. Um,
That's not a reflection on how much we like the books. We really did.
Yeah, it's just I read Fourth Wing, like speed read it after that. And that was a
I
lot of
was,
information.
I've read 3 books since we read that, and it wasn't that long ago.
Right. I finished this probably like the fifth or sixth. I mean,
Yeah.
it's only the 16th, but I think I've read like four books in between then.
Well, it doesn't help that again, I read Educated, and that also takes place in like rural Idaho, not
Right.
like Idaho.
Yeah.
And they're getting a little convoluted in my mind. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I definitely like I really believe he was in on it some way somehow because
maybe
he
I had
he
nothing to do
was
with
like
it.
too guilty for my taste. Like he might have been driving the getaway car, in my
Like,
opinion.
why was he pulled over the same with the dog?
Yeah, did you just see
No,
like a mountain of fur?
no, I can't see anything. It just looks like you gave the books a mean mug.
Nee.
Um, because the friend Petter got pulled over
Mm-hmm.
at night at like 2 a.m. And I don't remember what his explanation was as to why, but he was like sweaty and nervous and all this other stuff. So I definitely thought he was in on it or he knew about it, but he
I
had
think he
nothing
knew
to do
about
with
it.
it. Like, that's bizarre.
I think we just didn't hear anything. I think that's one of those loose ends she didn't tie up well, truthfully, because in my opinion, there's no way he didn't know something. Like he didn't know, like maybe he knew of a plan, but maybe he didn't execute it with his uncle or whatever. But
Yeah,
I,
there was a way to tie in the family like a lot better.
yeah, I
Um,
agree.
yeah, but overall, again, great book.
Yeah, I really liked it. But speaking of families,
Yeah,
what hurt the most, as quoted by Cascada?
was being so close.
Watching
I have
you.
so much to say.
But
Watching you
when
walk away.
Becky's mom,
Yes.
like I don't can't even like there's so many emotions going through me. Like I felt bad for Becky's mom, but then I was like, poor Josie just went through the worst experience of her life, lost everybody in her family, and you're just like screaming at her and like,
Repeating her.
yeah, in front of everybody.
It
And I
was,
understand, like, you cannot, like, there's only so much you can do to control yourself, but I was like, come on.
no, that was not good. But think about how much Becky's mom had lost. She was recently separated. She lost her daughter. Like, I
I
think it was very sweet at the end when she's like, yeah, your mom, has never stopped looking for you.
it like broke my heart.
I'm
And
like,
I
thank
get
God
that.
she's going home.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, it just was like, but I will say, like, I get it. Like, I get why her mom snapped, but I was also like, she is also just a kid. she was also shot in the arm. Like she did, it's not like she walked away and was like, "Here's Becky, grab her."
And I think she was like, Ethan did it, right? Ethan did it. They're saying she had a crush on Ethan or something. And I'm like, oh my God, they're kids. Not that kids aren't capable of terrible things because they are, but
Yeah.
a
No,
cranky
that
teenager does not equal a murdering kidnapper. Like
and
that's,
I know the fact that she kept saying like Ethan did it too, and it was just like
I'm
and
very
Josie,
that
what?
it ended up not being him. I'm very happy that it ended up being him.
Like
Thank
I
God.
couldn't imagine. I couldn't
I would have lost
imagine.
faith in humanity, if I'm being honest, and it's only a fictional book.
Yeah. But like the fact that she kept saying it too, I was just like, I can't imagine like trying to believe that my brother wasn't guilty of something with everybody just being like, well, he did it. Like eventually they're gonna convince you of
Right.
it.
And she felt so badly that she thought it was him.
Yeah. And she felt bad that she dropped her hand, and it's like, what could you have done?
No, bye, bitch. Goodbye. Like,
Like, what was she
pick up
supposed
the
to do?
pace. No, I'm just
Right.
kidding.
It's
At
just
that point, you're just trying to survive. Not strong
right.
enough or old enough to like really know how to deal with that situation. She didn't do it maliciously. She didn't do it to intentionally hurt her friend. Clearly, it affected her deeply. She was
Yeah.
just a kid. She was just running.
It just makes me so sad. But
Ultimately, there was a happy ending, though.
yeah.
So, yay, girl.
Overall, I very much recommend this book if you're into this genre. If you've read it, let us know. But if you also are interested in reading it, read it and then let us know your thoughts and opinions because I'd be more than happy to hear what people have to say on it. So
For sure.
many things in my mind still.
Definitely.
All right, well, we'll catch you guys with the next review, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yep.